Jjjjound is very Portuguese, the G, you know. My name, Jose, you know, we go with the deep J, so Jose.
They're back with another one, Canadian label Jjjjound. They've been responsible for some of the most hyped sneaker collabs of the last years, and earlier this year they worked on maybe the most popular sneaker of the moment, the Adidas Samba, and gave us their take on it. And now they're back with yet another edition of the Samba, this time in completely different materials and a much lower price point too. In this video, I'll be reviewing the Adidas Samba collab with Jjjjound in the Tobacco colorway. So we have the Adidas Jjjjound Samba in the Tobacco colorway. I've seen some websites call this the Mesa colorway. However, on Jjjjound's website, it clearly says Tobacco, so let's call it that. These released first on the Jjjjound website, where they didn't sell out immediately, unlike previous Jjjjound collabs. In fact, a lot of sizes were sitting for quite a few hours before eventually selling out. And then they did release on Adidas as well as other retailers on June the 27th. And the same thing happened on the Adidas Confirmed app. These were very easy to get. If you really wanted them in your size, you would have had no problem. As of right now, they are sold out on Adidas. However, if you go on StockX, they're pretty much selling for close to retail in most sizes, so you should not have any problem getting these. I actually got exclusive access to this sneaker 2 days before the release, which pretty much never happens to me on Adidas. And from what I've seen on my Instagram, a lot of my followers on there told me that you guys also got exclusive access to the shoe. So it turns out that the stock quantity for this pair is a lot higher than we expected. Quick plug, by the way, make sure you are following me on Instagram, because that's where I am the most active and I'm posting outfits and all kinds of content on there every single day. So make sure you follow me. Before we even talk about the shoe, I gotta talk about maybe my favorite aspect about this entire collab, and that's been the marketing. Specifically, the person they chose to do the marketing for this collab. None other than legendary football manager Jose Mourinho, who is maybe one of my favorite people on the planet, period. I remember him very well from the time he used to coach Real Madrid, and he's simply one of the most entertaining people to watch and listen to. And just him putting these shoes on and talking about Jjjjound, for me, made these shoes instantly way cooler. And I think a lot of you guys felt the same way, so very unexpected choice of spokesperson for this collab, but it was really cool. There was also, alongside the shoes, an entire apparel drop as well, including a track jacket with some track pants, as well as an actual football, all of which looked very fire on Jose. So those initial two Sambas, they retailed for a price of $250, which is absolutely absurd for a Samba. There's really no other way to say it. The reason for that is because those shoes were in fact, or claimed to be, made in Germany. There was a bit of controversy over how much exactly of that shoe was in fact made in Germany. I can't really comment on it because I don't really know, but either way, I thought that retail price was very overpriced, which is why personally I wasn't too mad about missing out on those pairs. This pair, however, is not made in Germany. It's made in Vietnam, which explains the much lower price point of $160 or 160 euros, which is still very expensive for a Samba, don't get me wrong, but it is quite reasonable compared to the originals. Let's get into the shoes. Let's start off with the box. It's an all over blue box in that standard Adidas blue, let's call it, and it's got the Adidas Trefoil logo on the cover, as well as some Jjjjound branding on either side of the box. And when you open it up, you see the customized paper that it comes with, as well the Jjjjound logo written in blue pretty much all over the paper. And looking at the sneakers, so the first thing that struck me was the colorway. A very light brown, almost like a golden brown color. I think the people at Nike would probably call this a flax colorway. You do get a little bit of contrasting details on the stripe, which are done in a darker tone of brown. But what is really unusual about these Sambas is the choice of material that was used. So the entire upper of the sneaker is made out of suede, and it is, I have to say, a very nice suede. It feels super soft. The materials on these seem very, very good. It's definitely a bit of an upgrade when it comes to the quality of suede you typically see on these classic Adidas models. But what makes it unusual is that typically this model, the Adidas Samba, it is usually made out of leather. In fact, that's what differentiates really the Samba from some other Adidas models like the Gazelle and Specials. Both of those models are typically made out of suede, but they always leave the classic leather on the Sambas. So it's already unusual to see a fully suede Samba, but I do appreciate the upgrade in quality we're getting here. It feels great. The standard laces that come on this shoe are done in this, I would say, like a light brown finish, and they're your classic flat style laces, and they also give you an extra pair. And if you're wondering what exactly is the difference between these laces and the laces that come with the shoe, well, I'm trying to figure that out as well because it is very faint. So I would say these extra laces are more of like a much more golden brown color, whereas these are a lighter brown. On the heel of the shoe, you get no branding at all, which is also unusual for this model. It's just done in a slightly darker tone of brown suede. You have the clean, very clean and minimalistic Jjound branding on the insole, and you also get a very different tongue on this shoe than you typically get on an Adidas Samba. Usually Sambas have this blue trefoil logo, but on this one it seems like you get this classic football shoe pattern that is debossed into the tongue. On the lateral side, you see that Jjound logo done in some golden metallic foil. You could barely see it, to be honest. When you have the shoe on feet, you won't be able to really read that. And when it comes to sizing on this one, so I always go a half size up in Adidas Sambas, so I got these in an 11.5, and the reason for that is because the Sambas are quite a narrow shoe compared to other Adidas models. Adidas sizing is really strange, to be honest, guys. So with the Sambas, I go up half a size to an 11.5, and in other Adidas classic models like the Gazelle and the Special, I actually go a half size down. So I wear 10.5 in Gazelles and Specials and 11.5 in Sambas. I made a whole guide to classic Adidas models. You can watch that video up here. But yeah, the Sambas for me quite narrow. I got this in an 11.5, and for me they fit perfect. You might feel a little bit of room in the toe box area, but it's not noticeable enough. It is just the perfect amount of width, especially in the midfoot area. And I have to say, with this particular pair, because of the very soft suede used on the upper, wow, this shoe just felt really nice and cozy as soon as you wear them. It feels like quite comfortable right out the box, which comfortable and Samba is not typically words you put in the same sentence, but it kind of does apply to this shoe. So that is good because the retail price on this is much higher than most Sambas, so at least you're getting a more premium and more comfortable pair. So overall, here are my thoughts on this Jjound Samba in the tobacco colorway. These are okay. I'm not overly impressed by this shoe. Yeah, the materials are nice, but to me, it's not really justifying the higher price point. The colorway as well, this brown color, for me, it's just a bit bland. I think if you're looking for a brown colored Samba, there was a pair that I highlighted in a recent video which I picked up, which was the Samba Cardboard. That pair has a unique knitted upper as well, and I just find like that colorway and those materials are just a lot more interesting. And also, considering that the retail price on this is $160, there was another pair of Adidas that dropped recently which was also $160, and that was the cloth Adidas Gazelle, which not a lot of people are talking about, but for me that's one of the best Adidas collabs to drop this year, and it's totally worth the money because of how intricate and detailed the upper is. That to me is definitely a collab worthy shoe, whereas this one to me is just a bit general release looking. You might actually think these shoes and other Jjound collabs are boring and too minimal, but just know that there are people buying those shoes for exactly those reasons. So it might just not be a shoe for you, and I've honestly justified previous Jjound collabs in the past by how good those colorways are, and I was willing to pay a premium to get those products. However, I don't feel the same about these, and especially those other two Sambas that dropped earlier. For me, this collab is just a bit too simple. I definitely want to see more from a collab, but that's just my opinion. Let me know down in the comments, how did you guys feel about this shoe? I try to give you my honest opinion in all these videos, and that is my opinion on these. It's a very nice looking pair. It looks great on feet, especially with some light colored pants. But personally, for the price, I think there's better Adidas models out there. Don't forget once again to hit me up on Instagram because that is where I am the most active. And also, while you're at it, make sure you check out my sneaker podcast, The Kickback Pod. You can find links to that in the description. I will catch you guys in my next video. Thank you for stopping by and supporting the channel. Peace.